Over the past few years, I've accumulated over 50 terabytes of footage. Here are my options for storage. First, we have hard drives. One of these drives is about $150 for 4 terabytes, so to get to the 50 terabytes, I'm going to need about 13 drives and I'm spending about $2,000. And once I get those drives, I'm going to have to remember where I put a specific file into each of the drives, and if one of these drives ever breaks or corrupts, all the footage is gone forever. What if you look for cloud storage? Google Drive only offers up to 2 terabytes, so that's not enough to store all of my data. iCloud only goes up to 12 terabytes, and if that's enough for you, you're still spending about $80 a month. Dropbox is the only one that has options that go up to the 50 terabytes of storage that I need, but you're going to be paying around $240 a month for that. What if there was a better solution? So this is the UGREEN iDX6011 Pro NAS, your own personal server with built-in AI tools to help you back up your files and speed up your workflow. With this server, you can have up to 196 terabytes of storage, and if you can't even process that number, that's about 69 million photos, 130,000 movies, or 205 million files. Full disclosure, this video is sponsored by UGREEN, so this is going to be more of a showcase, not a review, but just like every other video I make, I always want to be as truthful as possible, so I'm going to tell you what I like and dislike about the NAS. But if you do want to check out this NAS, you can head down to the first line in the description below, where you can reserve the super early bird pricing for only $30, which will save you $1,040 when this NAS is fully released. Let's quickly start off with the specs. This is a 6-bay NAS made out of aluminum alloy, and basically how this functions is, you have these 6 drive bays and you put your own hard drives inside of it. I currently have these 4 terabyte drives, but you can go up to 6 30 terabyte drives as well as 2 8 terabyte SSDs to get to the 196 terabytes that I mentioned earlier. With this benefit, you don't need to pay any subscriptions for storage. All you have to do is buy the drives in the NAS once, and your data is stored on it forever. No more subscription fees. You also don't need to worry about your sensitive data being online because it's all stored on your own server. Next to the bays, you have this really nice color screen here, and it's actually a touch screen. So you can swipe on it and it shows you the status of your CPU, GPU, RAM, storage usage, and network status. You also have a magnetic dust filter and a super quiet fan to keep your internals cool. On the front and the back, you have a bunch of ports which I'll go over in a second. Inside of the NAS, you have some pretty beefed up components. This thing has got an Intel Core Ultra 7 255H built inside of it. I also don't know how they did it with all these RAM shortages going on right now, but this NAS also comes with 64GB of LP DDR5X RAM, which will come in handy when I go over all the AI features that this NAS has. If you're not familiar with how a NAS works, basically, instead of plugging it directly to your computer through a USB-C cable, you're actually going through your router via Ethernet, and this allows for some super stable connections and multi-user compatibility. It even lets you access your NAS remotely, which is one of my favorite features. In the UGREEN app on my computer, I've assessed that my SSD is always synced up to the NAS itself, but if I delete things off of the SSD, it does not delete it off of the NAS. This does 2 things. So first, I'm always out shooting with friends, and whenever I get home, I can just back up all my files to the SSD, and it syncs directly to my NAS. Then whenever my friends ask me for the files I just shot, all I have to do is send them the link to the NAS, and they can access all my footage right away and download it off of the NAS. This is also way faster than uploading files to Google Drive, which I'll show you in a second. I've also had times when I'm out at the gym or doing something else and I'm not at home, and one of my friends asked me for the files, and since I can access the NAS remotely, I can easily just link them the file right away even when I'm not home, and they can download it off of the NAS. This is also super useful for brands because if I need to send any footage for brands to review, they can just access it from the NAS, and there's also an option to change it so that they can't download the footage. So if I only want the brand to be able to preview the footage and not download it, I can also check that in the settings. The second thing is I also set it so that whenever I delete footage off of my SSD, it does not delete it off of the NAS. This NAS has so much storage that I only make it so that my working files stay on the SSD and everything else gets synced up to the NAS. But whenever I'm done with those files, I can delete it off my SSD. And since it does not delete it off the NAS, I can always access that footage later if I want to, and I don't need to waste space on my SSD because storage is a lot more expensive. The 6011 Pro has 2 10GB Ethernet slots, so if you combine that with the 10GB dock and switch to your computer, that gives you super fast speeds. Just to compare it, I have a 10GB file, I'm going to upload them to Google Drive and to the NAS itself, and you can see how much faster it is to upload the files to your NAS. Now if you ever need to upload files to your NAS, you have a few options. You can sync it from a drive like your SSD straight to the NAS, or if it's already on your computer, you can just drag the files into the NAS itself. You can also attach your drive to the dual Thunderbolt 4 slots or an SD card to the SD card slot, and those files will show up in the UGREEN app and you can move them around from there. I also mentioned that because it's connected via your router, you can use the UGREEN app and access the NAS remotely from your phone. Obviously, you would need authentication to be able to access your NAS remotely, but if you're worried about that, you can always disable that feature entirely and keep everything local. Now, one of my favorite features is this 8K HDMI port, and it literally turns your NAS into a media hub. All I need to do is attach one of the HDMI ports to my monitor, and since I already have movies on the NAS, I can use my phone as a remote, choose a movie I want to play. The movie streams directly from the NAS onto the monitor, and I can use my phone as a remote and control everything from there. And that enables me to play movies up to 8K resolution with no lag. Now let's go through some of the new AI features that this NAS has. So the 6011 Pro has a new AI intelligence hub called Uliya, and it basically gives you 4 options. Your first option is a standard chat box to ask questions. AI will generate your response based on what you ask. You can choose local model, which does not support real-time questioning like weather. For that, you will need to use online search. Your second option is summary. You can upload files, which can be things like Word documents, PDFs, text files, etc. And then you can use the chat to ask it questions about the file. For example, you can translate it to a different language or ask it to give you a summary of the document that you just uploaded. You also have knowledge base. So it's very similar to summary, but you can actually make your own database out of a collection of files. So I actually found some of my old files from university. This is Linear Algebra 2. I actually hated that course so much. But you can see that I can upload all the PDFs into the knowledge base, and I can ask it questions like giving me a study guide for this course. Honestly, that feature would have been so useful when I was still in school. And finally, you have smart commands. So you can do things like set fan speeds or search for specific movies, and they have a few preset options. You can also do voice memos. So you can either record your own audio or you can upload an audio file. This is an MP3 file from my previous YouTube video that I made, and when I upload it, I can get the transcript, I can summarize a video, I can translate it to different languages, or transform the whole thing into a mind map. There's also a bunch of AI features that allow you to search through all of your photos, and you can even do things like text recognition. Of course, if there are specific models that you don't want it to use, you can always disable them. Now, one of the benefits of the NAS is that they also have security and redundancy features. So it has the ability to do basic RAID modes like JBOD, RAID 0, 1, 5, 6, or 10. Like I mentioned before, if you're using one of these hard drives and one of these corrupt or break, all that footage is gone forever. With the NAS, I like to do RAID 5, which means that right now I have 6 drive bays, and if one of them breaks or corrupts, all I have to do is take out the broken one, insert a new one in, the NAS will recalculate itself and knows what was missing on that broken hard drive, and it'll be able to rebuild back your files. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only backup that you need. You should always have a physical version stored somewhere else remotely, as well as a copy in the cloud, but it does give you a little bit peace of mind to know that if one of these drives do break, you don't instantly lose all your footage and there is a way to get it back. The NAS also has a built-in security manager that scans for viruses and makes sure that all of your data is secure. And for the Uliya chat, where you can upload your files and summarize your data, all of that is stored locally onto the NAS itself. So right now I'm using this as my home server, so whenever I have any files I need to store, I can just upload it to the NAS. But it's also super good for multi-user compatibility. If you're working in a studio with a bunch of other people, after a shoot, instead of giving that footage to every single person and having them all download the same footage, you can just upload it to the NAS once, and everyone can connect their devices to the NAS itself and they can grab whatever files they need. This not only saves time, but it also helps make sure that you're not missing any files, because when you're transferring footage to a bunch of other people, at some point something is going to get mixed up. But if you put it on the NAS, all you have to do is do that once and everyone else can grab what they need. Now, I've also shown other NASs on this channel before, and if you want to take a look at those videos, I'll have those linked down in the description below. So far, I've had 0 problems with this NAS. They're pretty much like all the other ones and they've been working perfectly. There are a few little quirks about it though. One thing I noticed about this NAS is that it does kick up the fan noise a little bit, but it doesn't sound like the NAS is throttling or something. It almost sounds like a little breathing noise. I'll upload an audio file here and my mic can pick it up. Now, I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. It's only something I really notice if I'm working in complete silence without any music or anything else playing in the background, but it is something to note. However, this NAS is sitting right beside me, so obviously I am going to hear it a little bit, but if this NAS is a little bit farther away from you, or maybe even in another room entirely, then I don't think the noise is going to be a problem. So overall, this is the most powerful UGREEN NAS that you can buy right now, with really impressive hardware and new AI features to take advantage of the hardware. which are features that you're not going to find in the previous generation of UGREEN NASs. Again, if you are interested in checking this out, you can head down to the first link in the description below. It's only $30 to reserve the super early bird pricing, which will get you $1,040 off when you actually purchase it. If you have any questions or any specific testing that you want me to do, let me know down in the comments below. If this video is helpful, remember to give it a like, and if you're enjoying this kind of content, maybe consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.